Welcome back, everyone, to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Today, we're going to dive into the draft, look at some picks we like, perhaps some teams that we thought drafted well, and we have some power rankings we want to get to because I am tired. I'm sure Lance is as well. I'm tired of these big newscasters, these big sports places like ESPN and NBC News and all these places having things wrong. I think it's time that we got the best power rankings in the entire world and mankind out there, and we're gonna get to that later. Um, but first, I just wanted to touch on the George Pickens trade to the Cowboys. Congratulations. They got another volatile receiver who is good but not great. Um, does he make their team better? Maybe, but not a lot. They'll be a 9-win team. Flirt with the wild card, maybe make it, maybe not, but they are far from being a true contender. And the craziest thing is he is on his last year of his deal, and I don't know if they're going to be able to pay him. So they might have just traded a third round pick for a 1 year rental.
One thing I think that's been funny, Andrew, to listen to is um, oh, and his name is escaping me right now. The Panthers receiver they traded for last year.
Jonathan
Uh,
Mingo.
Yes, Mingo. That's right.
Hmm.
And it's so funny because people are like, "Whoa, look at what we had to give up to get Mingo, and it was a fourth, and we only had to, in all, intents and purposes, a third for Pickens. So this is a massive win." But there's a really phenomenal, in case anyone's listening to this and wants to know, but RJ Ochoa is his name. He is a writer for Cowboys Nation. He writes
Mm-hmm.
for Blogging the Boys. And honestly, I love SB Nation in general. They are not promoting us, by the way. This is not an advertisement for him. But
Maybe
uh,
one day.
the part I like about SB Nation, though, is that they're connected enough that they give you really good
Hmm.
information, but they are not drinking the Kool-Aid. If that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, you know? Um, One thing I think that I've noticed that mainstream media is pretty bad at is they literally just spit out what they were told.
Yep.
Like they don't
Yep.
really like do a good job of filtering and like actually being like, all right, okay, what's actually real, what's not, what am I
Hmm.
just like Adam Schefter, right? Is a perfect example of someone that's just like, I'm gonna blurt out whatever I was given by this owner or GM or agent, and
Hmm.
then you can spin your own narratives for what you want. And it's too bad that we don't have more people like, and I'm not saying this person is a top notch, like gets it right every time, but Mike Florio, honestly, overall, does a good job of
Yeah. I respect him.
telling what he's really thinking's happening.
Hmm.
It's not just he really tries to read between the tea leaves.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like we would need more of that. But back to the Pickens trade, RJ Cho has basically talked about for the Cowboys Nation. It's like, look, just because you know if your measuring stick is a horrible trade to decide what's a good trade, that's not the way trades work. Like that's not a really good
Hmm.
barometer for deciding like, oh, that's a success, A plus, or this was a terrible trade. And so in his mind, he's like, well, it's nice that the team's competitive. It's nice that we're actually like trying to get better, but there's no guarantee that this is going to work out the way it's being sold it'll be.
Hmm.
So who knows? It's kind of like the Browns drafting two quarterbacks in a sense where it's like the Cowboys haven't even
Hmm.
figured out things with Micah Parsons. They haven't figured out
Yeah.
um, really like I still don't know what the Cowboys are doing here. Are they focused on the here and now? Like do they really think that they can get um, a Super Bowl this year, or are they kind of like building towards the future? And I don't know.
Yeah, they're
It's
kind of in that
so
middle ground
weird.
between both. Yeah, it is strange. They're making some moves like this trade where they got to pop now with him because if not, he's gonna get, I don't know, like 20 million a year next year, something like that, maybe higher, maybe like 25. Someone will pay him that, and the Cowboys can't afford it. Will they get a comp pick for him the year after? They might get a fourth or a fifth, so they're going to end up losing one spot. But yeah, it's not, it doesn't make much sense. It's like
Yeah.
they're just trying to sell a narrative that they're trying and
Well,
to
but
get the people in the stands.
but to be fair, we got to look at this from the Steelers' perspective. I don't know what the Steelers are doing.
I agreed. Agreed. I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is on the radar anymore. Because if you kept both receivers, you got a good defense, you drafted a running
Mhm.
back, your O-line's okay, not great, but okay. Okay, I can see that. But now you got rid of one of your main receivers, and there's hardly anybody behind DK Metcalf. And there's like nobody available right now as far as a receiver goes. So what are we doing here? Are they kind of letting this year kind of go by the wayside and try to get a quarterback next year? I don't know. I much prefer DK to George Pickens because if I have a receiver who has an attitude, I want the physical freak as
Mhm.
opposed to a receiver that's good at jump balls and is fast. That's basically what George Pickens is. He's good at jump balls and he's fast. DK Metcalf is a monster. So if I have an attitude player, I'd rather have the monster.
There's a couple of interesting names that I've kind of forgotten about that are available in the free agent market right now. There's Keenan Allen, there's Amari Cooper, and there's Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd is on the edge of cooked after last year. I mean,
Hmm.
his drop off in performance was pretty big compared to what he had with the Bengals
Hmm.
prior to that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Almost 50% reduction, and turns out almost 50% reduction in performance. So I would stay clear from him. But Amari Cooper, maybe
I don't know. He was supposed to be the guy for the Bills last year, and the Bills didn't have a number one, and he could have been it, and he didn't really show much.
one argument you could make is that mid-season trades have a really bad track record of working
That's
out.
fair. You got to learn your team, got to learn the playbook, got to learn chemistry with your quarterback. That's fair.
Well,
That's
and even
fair.
still, it's like, what if you join the team and like the Bills, they were in a really tough stretch of the schedule. And that makes it even harder because,
Hmm.
if you got a bunch of powder puff teams that you're lined up against, that makes it a lot easier. If they don't have good
Hmm.
safeties, if they don't have good corners as a wide receiver, it makes it easier to even play better in the playbook that you're being given. So is that part of it? I'm not trying to excuse it. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I could I could see him like, okay, I can follow the thought process here. You get rid of George Pickens, you pick up Amari Cooper, you think you get maybe half of the value in terms of performance. So I could
Hmm.
see where you'd say we could justify this. But I don't get it. And
Yeah.
I, I just
I
feel
don't
like
know.
the Steelers are just in this like neither hot nor cold. Like I
Lukewarm.
don't know which way they're going. And if they
Yep.
don't want to make the move at quarterback, I'm fine with it. But then it's like, why do they still have like is TJ Watt really a person for the future? Is Mika Fitzpatrick someone that should be on this team, or should you trade them just like Pickens? And
Yeah.
also one thing I got to mention here, and this is the you know uh, red mark on the Steelers front office, but I mean Deontay Johnson, uh, Claypool,
Hmm.
Santonio Holmes. Now we've got Pickens in the mix. And of course, you have to mention Antonio Brown, but like the track record of picking players that are poor character players, good
Yeah.
performers, but poor character players, and just
Hmm.
tanking your team. Like, when did the Steelers learn? Like, when do they figure it out? And one thing I'll say is that people will come out and say, well, "Wait, they've been picking towards the back end." Well, I don't see other play teams in the playoffs that have had similar struggles. I mean, look at the Buffalo Bills. I still cannot believe, Andrew, that they were as successful as they were last year and had no business doing it with that receiver core. I mean, that receiver core was
Yep.
trash. I mean, it was. It was straight up
Yep. Probably
trash.
bottom five. Probably bottom five in the league.
That receiving core might have been almost as bad as Carson Wentz's 2019 crew. The one where no one was over 500 yards, but he had 4,000 yards passing. Like it was that
Hmm.
similar to me, where it's just there was no one that was contributing in a major way besides Khalil Shakir, maybe, kind of, sort of. I mean, he was
Yeah.
definitely up there in his stats, but he wasn't wowing. It was kind of like
Hmm.
he was just good at chunk plays. He was really good at like, these 8 to 12 yard pickups, but nothing that was like scorching the defense. Um,
Hmm. The only player
so
on offense that they had that was scorched the defense was Josh Allen.
Well, he just catches his own passes and runs in for touchdowns.
That's what he does off the hands of Mari Cooper.
Dude, it's just crazy. Uh,
Hey, that was a
so
good
who,
fantasy week for me. I appreciated that game.
well, obviously, I mean, the guy what got 3 touchdowns for you and 2 touchdowns on
Hmm.
one play.
Hmm.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So if you had to pick right now, who would you say won the trade?
Right now, oh man. I'm probably, without seeing what the future holds with that pick and who the Steelers are going to pick up in place of him, I probably would give it to the Cowboys because a third round pick isn't a lot to give up. It's not a small amount, but it's not a lot. I figured George Pickens would get a second round pick, but he got a third. Okay. It's not bad. And I think it was their later of I think they had two third round picks or something, and they gave the later one. I'm not sure. I could be making that up. But I wouldn't say it's like a landslide win. They're both kind of meh, but I'd probably give it to the Cowboys just because they technically got better as a team with a better second receiver.
Yeah, I struggle with this. I just wanted to look at some grades for them real quick just to see out of curiosity because like
Hmm.
ESPN's giving him a B plus to the Steelers and a B minus to the Cowboys. I'd probably go with a B to the Steelers just on compensation alone. I get it. I
Hmm.
know why they pulled the trigger. It makes sense. It checks out.
Hmm.
And I think the Cowboys is this kind of makes sense, but
Hmm.
the parts I'm struggling with, are you now better than Washington? I
Nope.
would say no. Are you now better than the Eagles? No.
Nope.
Like this wasn't like one where it's like, all right, now you're going to get over the hump and you're going to
Yeah.
finally,
If that was DK Metcalf they picked up,
yes,
we can talk about something. I still don't know if I'd put him over the Commanders, but it'd be a conversation at least.
yeah,
But it's George Pickens, and I've never been a huge fan of his. Everyone's saying, "Oh, this is the year, this is the year," and he shows some flashes. He's got talent, but he just doesn't put it all together, and I just don't know if he's going to. But now CeeDee Lamb's going to get double teamed, so he'll have some coverage. So maybe.
possible. But still, though, it requires a competent offense. And the Cowboys last year did not show a competent offense. I
Hmm.
mean, your running
And they
game is
didn't
still
really
going to,
improve, and they didn't improve that. Yeah, I was just getting there. They put some different bodies in the backfield. They picked up a guard in the first round of the draft, so
got
they
Ezekiel
made some
Elliott back from the
moves.
Patriots.
Right. So they've made some moves, but it's not like you're like, okay, now they're back. They might be a little better, but you can't get much worse than last year on the run game.
Yeah, but even the offensive line too. What are they going to
Hmm.
do there? Because that's not been figured out. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, there's so many questions right now. And like, here's another thing too. I love this philosophy because I think it's important. But when you trade for a player, the best time to sign him to an extension is right now.
Hmm.
It's not going to be down the road. I just don't see it. So you're
Yeah,
really
I
just you're
imagine they're going
going
to
with the
lose
low
George
tide.
Pickens next year. Yep, I imagine they're going to lose him, get like a fourth or a fifth round comp pick,
Oh,
and they're going to win 9 games, flirt with a wild card, and just be the Cowboys as usual.
that's just so bizarre to me because
Hmm.
I don't see right now. I can't see the Cowboys winning a playoff game. I can't see it. I can't see how
The
they pull it
NFC
out.
is sort of stacked at the top right now. It's sneaky stacked at the top. It might not be as deep as the AFC because the AFC there's like 12 teams that can make the playoffs. The NFC, the top like four-ish, five-ish are good teams. After that, it kind of drops off a little bit. But yeah, if the Cowboys get that 7 seed and they're playing the 2 seed, nope. Bye. See ya.
Well, that brings up an interesting discussion, Andrew. I mean, I know we're supposed to get to the draft, but this I feel like this ties heavily to our power rankings.
Okay,
Should we
let's
do
do
that
it.
right now and like talk about it
Let's
together?
do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do power rankings now and we'll touch on the draft later. Yeah, let's do it. I like it.
Okay. Do you want to share your draft first? Or not your draft, excuse me, your power rankings first, or do you want to do you go then I go? How do we want to do that?
We're doing top 10, right? Just the top
Yes.
10?
Yep.
Okay. Um, let's go our bottom three. Then we'll kind of go, I'll do my 10 9 8. You do 10 9 8. Then I'll do 7 6 5. Then we'll do 4 3 2 1. Something like that. Let's go from the bottom to the top and see where we're similar.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. I just wanted to look at my past one real quick.
Yeah, yeah, I got that same. I got my past one up as well. Yep,
So
yep,
what
yep.
did can you help remind me what did you have last time?
So last time, going 1 through 10, this is the post Super Bowl power rankings that we did. I had Eagles 1, Chiefs 2, Bills 3, Ravens 4, Lions 5, Commanders 6, Vikings 7, Texans 8, Packers 9, Bucks 10.
Hmm,
And mine did change a little bit.
really?
Hmm. Let me see. I think there's two different teams. Two teams are out of the top 10, and there's two new teams in the top 10.
Mhm. Okay. I made a couple of changes on mine. So this is who I had last time. I had the Eagles at one, I had Lions at two, had the Bills at three, Chiefs at four, Ravens at five, Commanders at six, Rams at seven, Vikings at eight, Packers at nine, Texans at 10.
Okay.
Man, it's hard because
Hmm.
I'm struggling with the Texans part, but this I think this is how I would do mine. Or do you want to do every one every other? Do you want to do tens? So let's do. You want to do our bottom three first? Is that right?
Yes, let's go bottom to the top. Who do you got at number 10?
I for me, I put the Buccaneers at 10.
Okay.
I like the moves they made. I thought they made a lot of sense. I had no faith they were going to keep all their receiving core together. They somehow did,
Yeah.
and then got even
Yeah.
better at the receiving core. I really, really like that. I think Todd Bowles is a great coach, totally
Hmm.
underrated,
Hmm.
underappreciated. I got Rams at nine. I've got
Okay.
Vikings at eight, and that's my bottom three.
Okay. Okay. We have all three different teams
Oh wow.
as our bottom three. So for
Okay.
number 10, I have the Packers.
Okay.
They are a good team, but I don't think they're a great team. And
Mhm.
I don't know if they got really all that better in the offseason. They picked up a guard, I forgot his name from the Niners. I think it was Aaron Brooks. And he's fine. He's fine, but he's not a huge upgrade. And they did nothing else in free agency, really. They drafted Matthew Golden, which is crazy because they never draft a first round receiver. I'm interested to see how this one turns out. I don't know. I really don't know about Matthew Golden. He is a really fast, vertical threat. Can he run out of the routes? I don't know. We'll see. He might just be another Christian Watson, or he could be something. I don't know. But I do not believe in their quarterback. I am not a Jordan Love guy. So I cannot put them higher than 10. At 9, this is one of the teams that's now in my top 10 that wasn't last time. And just because I live here doesn't mean I'm a fan of theirs, but I do enjoy what I've seen the moves they made. They were a competitive team last year. They were close to being a real contender. You could see some flashes there. The Denver Broncos. They made a lot of good moves. I like picking up Evan Ingram, I like the defensive pieces they picked up, and they picked up Jahdae Barron in the draft, I believe, that's a great corner, and they picked up RJ Harvey at running back. That's awesome. And then at number 8, I have the Rams. I think the Rams are a really good team, but there's a lot of people putting them in the top four. I'm thinking, really? I know they got some good pieces on the D line. They picked up Devontae Adams, but he's older. Is he better than Cooper Kupp? Maybe, but not by a lot. And they didn't really do much else. They lost a guard. in the free agency class. So I don't know. I'm just not sold that they're a true Super Bowl contender. And if you're on the top five, you're a Super Bowl contender. But I got them to eight. I do respect great coach, good quarterback. They got a good team. I just can't get them above eight.
I get it. I get it. That makes sense. So we'll do the next three.
Yeah, do seven, six, and five.
All right, for seven, my seven and eight were tough, man.
Yeah.
I thought so long and hard about the Vikings and Lions rankings, and
Hmm.
I've been listening to some really interesting podcasts talking about the changes at coordinator, and they're really worried about what things will look like in Detroit next year. And
It's not easy to change coordinators and have success the very next year. Usually coordinators take some
Mhm.
time. Those coordinators could be amazing, but year one, I don't know.
Well, here's the other thing too that I didn't really appreciate was, um, you know, when the Eagles, for example, lost their coordinators, none of them were in division. The fact that Ben is still in the division now facing
Fair,
you, that's
fair.
a
Yeah.
that's a big hill to climb. And uh, I don't know where to put the Bears in my head as far as what's realistic expectations,
It's
but
hard to say. Yeah.
I'm not looking at it thinking they will be a nothing burger. That is not a game I
Hmm.
go into thinking it's a win. But
Yep.
right now, I'm going to keep the Lions ahead of the Vikings. I think the nod for me is the quarterback situation. I just feel a little bit
Hmm.
better about Jared Goff. Um,
Hmm.
and it's funny that you put the Broncos where you did. I'm on the Broncos train right now. I've got them at six.
Okay. Okay.
I am totally
I
buying
can't
what they're doing.
disagree. I can't disagree.
I mean, honestly, the move, Andrew, that got me on board was the Evan Engram signing. I
Hmm.
love that. And
Hmm.
and I don't even know if I mentioned this before, but my favorite moment with Evan Engram last year, it's not even a play, but when Trevor Lawrence got decked by that Texans linebacker and Evan
Oh,
Engram went
yeah.
ape crazy on him. I mean, that
Hmm.
is the type of thing where as a player, as a coach, like I gravitate towards those people because
Yep.
you should do everything you can to protect your teammates. Um,
Hmm.
like one of my favorite moments last year with the Eagles was Darius Slay was getting absolutely bullied by a Steelers offensive lineman, and Quinyon Mitchell came running across the other side of the field to get in
Mm.
and to push the lineman out of the way.
As much as he could.
But that's the type of person you want in your team. I'm not
Teammate.
saying
Yep.
I don't want someone that's going to start a fight, but you
Yeah,
know,
you don't want a George Pickens.
no, you don't want someone that's focused on themselves or drawing attention. But when
Hmm.
there's a fight, you want someone that wants to get in the fight with you. And so
Hmm.
I really like the moves they're making. I mean, we've already talked about the draft picks, so we don't need to talk about that. But they're building a formula, and I like it.
There. Yeah. I
I
respect what they're doing too. I'm just I have him a little bit lower than you because I still don't know if Bo Nix can be it. He might be. He might
Yeah,
be.
that's
But
fair.
I don't know yet. So, but I'm on board. They're building a really competitive roster.
Yeah. And then for me at five, I've got the Commanders. Um,
Okay.
I, I like the Commanders, and I think they're doing a great job. I think Quinn is a great coach, and he's kept his
Hmm.
staff, so he's got to be up there. The part I just can't figure out in my head is I don't know what to make of the age factor, and it's like it's a ticking time bomb, and
Mm.
it could work out this year and not backfire on them. But part of me just wonders is are they going to run into a Jets complex, right? The Jets was a different scenario, but age was
Hmm.
absolutely a factor for the entire team. They were too
Hmm.
old. They were not ready to run a full season gauntlet, especially now with the 17 game schedule with the type of roster they had.
Right.
So we'll see.
Okay. Ours are very similar now. We're getting very similar teams. So for me, at number seven, I had the Vikings. And this is a right now power rankings. I believe in this team, but right now we don't know, like you said, about JJ McCarthy. Everything around everywhere else, there's legit talent, top five offensive line. They got pass rushers on the D line now with the great edge rushers they have. One of the best receiving cores, TJ Hawkinson, year off that ACL injury, so he should be closer to the normal TJ Hawkinson. So They have a really good roster, one of the best head coaches. It's just, can JJ McCarthy be the guy? I believe he can, but can't get him much higher until he proves it on the actual field. So I got the Vikings at 7, and then I got the Lions at 6. I got them back to back. I think you had pretty much this very similar thing. I do agree with you. Things that the Lions lost, I think they're a worse team this year than they were last year, but they still have a
naturally.
lot of talent and they are still the kings of the North for now. So I got to get them higher. That's the way it's got to be. And then at 5, the team that beat them in the playoffs. I can't have the Lions above the Commanders when the Commanders embarrassed the Lions last year and the Commanders got better. The Lions did not. The Commanders did. They picked up Debo, Larry Tunsil. They got a better O-line. Their draft was decent. Um, my one concern though is, well, I guess twofold. One, rookie quarterbacks come into the league. Defenses don't really truly study. Now defenses are studying Jaden Daniels. They're going to be ready for him. He is not going to have as much success as he did last year. Is he going to tank? I'm not saying that, but he's not going to just light everyone up. He is going to have a little bit of a sophomore slump. It's just natural. Look at CJ Stroud last year. He struggled a little bit. They still made the playoffs. They still won a playoff game, but his numbers dipped because teams knew how to prepare for him. They knew his kinks, knew his weaknesses. So that's what Jane Daniels is going to have. And the Commanders aren't going to have a last place schedule this year. They got second place schedule. So they're going to play a little more tougher games. They play the NFC North. That's not going to be an easy gauntlet. So I am a little worried about the Commanders that they might not be this like almost NFC Championship Super Bowl team. They might kind of get bounced a little earlier. So, but I still have a 5 right now. Really good team. Just have a little bit concerns because, NFL's hard and teams are going to learn how to compete with Jane Daniels. And Debo's always hurt. It's a great pickup, but can you really trust him for 17 games? No, you can't.
Yeah, no, that's all fair. Who did you have again at 8?
I had the Rams at 8.
Rams. That's right.
So far I have Packers 10, Broncos 9, Rams 8, Vikings 7, Lions 6, Commanders 5. And you might say it's a little hyperbole for me to have the Vikings above the Rams since the Rams embarrassed the Vikings. But the Vikings got a lot better. The Rams kind of stayed the same, in my opinion. And there's a huge change at quarterback. Sam Darnold is patty cake baker's man in the back when he has the ball in his hand. And we don't have a problem with our interior O line anymore, which the Rams exposed. So, but I mean, it's not like it's a huge gap. They're all the Lions, Vikings, and Rams are pretty much all the same tier to me.
My biggest question going forward for the Vikings, I know that the JJ McCarthy is a part of it, but we're going to see this differently, Andrew. But Kevin O'Connell has got to learn to stop obsessing over the pass. Like this,
Oh, he's
he's.
going to. I already know he's going to.
I hope
The
so.
moves they made, and he's been saying all the right things this offseason. We got to be more physical. We got to get to the run game. They picked up Jordan Mason. Last year, they couldn't really run as much as they wanted, most likely, because Aaron Jones is just not that guy. He's not an every down 17 game back. He needs to be spelled. And Cam Akers is fine, but do you really want Cam Akers to run the ball 15 times a game? Hmm. But Jordan Mason, different story. That is a talented running back. So yeah, they are going to get to the run game, and that's what JJ McCarthy's great at. He's great at play action.
Yeah,
He's
he
great at
is.
handing the ball off. So
Yeah.
I 100% believe. Are they going to be a top 10 running team? No, but I think they're going to be close to like a 50-50 split when before it was like 70-30.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that that would be something they take to heart.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's not the same thing, but watching that Rams Vikings game reminded me so much of the Buccaneers Eagles playoff game from
the year
back in
before.
20, yeah,
Hmm.
where it's just they
Hmm.
kept trying the same things over and over and over again, and the
Yep.
same things were not working, and it just it was not clicking. It was not clicking, and then they were just
Hmm.
getting embarrassed in public TV. And the crazy part is, this is the crazy part. It was the Monday night playoff game in both years. I mean, talk about,
Yeah,
weird
that's
juju,
true.
but it's true. Like that literally
That's
happened.
true.
Maybe it's, and honestly, that's 3 years in a row where the Monday night contest for the first week of the playoffs was just a beatdown because it was the Cowboys that beat up on the Buccaneers 3 years ago, where Dak
Mm.
Prescott kicked them out of the playoffs, and then the Eagles got spanked by the Buccaneers the year
Hmm.
after, and then the Vikings Rams fall out. So, um,
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah.
so now
All
for
right.
my
Do your
are we?
do your 4-3-1. Yeah, do all four.
Oh,
Four
you
three
want to do all
one.
four? Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, we all know who number one is. So it's 4-2. That could be a little change. Could be a little variance.
It could be someone else, Andrew. You never know. Star organizations like ESPN have someone else besides the Birds at the number one spot because it's the most
Oh
logical
my
choice.
gosh. That was just ridiculous. Anyway.
Um, yeah, but so I had this different where a little bit, but I still got to keep the Ravens at four. I cannot put
Hmm.
them above the other teams. I just
You gotta beat the teams in the playoffs before you can get that respect. I
Well,
get it.
can we just please for once have an honest conversation about how Lamar Jackson lets down his team in the playoffs? Like he didn't play good against the Bills. He didn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't terrible, but when the stage was the brightest last year for Jalen
Hmm.
Hurts, he absolutely brought his best. Like,
Hmm.
no one saw it coming, completely amazed. I mean, even after the NFC Championship game, people were like, this will not happen in the Super Bowl. This was a one time. He's going to go back to, having these flaws and issues. And so it's just weird to me how, I don't understand how Jackson wears the cape in the regular season,
Hmm.
but then the cape is missing in the playoffs. I just,
Yeah.
I don't get it. And it's tough because it's like he deserves some credit for the Steelers' performance, but the Steelers were so broken. I don't really know if his performance was an X factor, right? Like we
Hmm.
cannot stop this guy. We cannot figure out how to get this guy shut down. So that alone makes it hard for me to move him forward. So I keep them at four.
You know
I
what? He's like the anti-Eli Manning. Eli Manning was horrible in the regular season, but if he
Yeah,
got
he
in the
was.
playoffs, he was
He was a
aces.
different guy. Yeah, he was. He
Yeah,
was a different dude. But I mean, that's what matters,
it
And
does.
it's I
It
think Ryan
does.
I think Ryan Clark was the one that mentioned it. He said that Eli is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but you can't tell me that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame based on his Super Bowl
I agree.
performances against the
I
Patriots. And
agree.
I agree. How
Yeah,
could you not? I
he
mean,
beat the undefeated team. He's the only guy who could do it.
but both games. I mean, for
Hmm.
example, I think it was the second matchup where he threw an incredible bullet to, I think it was
Mario
Santonio
Manningham.
Holm, Mario Manningham. That's
Mario
right.
Manningham. I remember that play like it was yesterday because it was in between two defenders. There was no space, a centimeter either direction. That's an incomplete pass, but it was right, just, oh, it was a beauty to watch.
I mean, it was incredible. And
Hmm.
uh, I mean, he deserves credit for that. So
I agree.
I just need more for Lamar. Bills at three.
Hmm.
I wanted to put him forward, but this is the reason I'd say the Bills are two, or the Chiefs are two for me. The Chiefs did a great job of keeping most of their core players. I don't know how they
Hmm.
did it. I don't know what
Hmm.
budgetary tricks they played. I don't know what that means for 2026. But for 2025, I think that they've solidified themselves as we're
Hmm.
back. We're back and we're going to try to get it to the top. Um, and then got to pick the Eagles for number
Hmm.
one. But like, objectively, why would they not be? I just don't see an argument. Josh
Yeah.
Sweat was a semi-starter, semi-rotational player, um, and so that makes it hard. Milton Williams was almost not a starter for the team. Like he was another
Hmm.
semi-player where some people might say he was, some people might say he wasn't. But these weren't like if you take away Zach Bond, that is a catastrophic loss to the team because he's
Hmm.
there every play. Every play he's on the field. But those two players were taking breaths with Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith, Moro Jomo, Jordan Davis. So I have a really tough time seeing how I don't see the defense taking a major step back. There are other pieces. I mean, we should acknowledge CJGJ is now in Houston. We
Hmm.
talked about that. Darius Slay being gone is not a little departure. It's a big one. He had a great
Hmm.
postseason. Brandon Graham retiring. Like there's pieces there. I just the overall build of the team, I still feel like they're going to be competitive.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think our top four are pretty much right in line. So for four for me, it's the Ravens. They didn't really improve a whole lot. They're kind of the same. I did like a couple draft picks they picked though.
Mm-hmm.
They picked the safety from Georgia, Malachi Starks.
Malachi Starks.
Great pickup, great pickup. And then I think later they picked up, was it Mike Green, the edge
Mike
rusher that
Green.
was just sliding. Now he like you've touched on, we've discussed this. He's got some attitude issues, not the field issues, but they picked him up a little bit later. So that's you could deal with that if not a first round pick, and he's got a lot of talent. So they did pick up some good draft picks, but it's not really enough to really move the needle because they still don't really have any receivers. Zay Flowers is a good receiver, not great, and that's all they have. When are they going to get a true number one? They picked up Hopkins. Okay, he's ancient now. He can maybe do some jump ball red zone touchdowns, but that's about it. And Mark Andrews, man, I feel bad for him because that last game, mm, that was rough because he had that fumble and then he had that
Yeah.
drop for the 2-point conversion that would have won the game. I felt bad for the guy, but he's starting to dip a little bit. He's getting a little older. Now, Isaiah Likely is a really good backup tight end for them, really good, but they just don't have pass catchers. They just don't have it. And so Lamar Jackson's got to run around like crazy. Derrick Henry's got to be Superman. And I just don't think it's enough. So I got them at four and pretty much in lockstep with you. So I was going back and forth with Chiefs and Bills at 3 and 2. It was like back and forth, back and forth. They're very similar teams to me. The deciding factor was last year's playoff game. The Chiefs beat the Bills. So I gotta go with the Bills at three and Chiefs at two. But they're like the same team as far as talent and competitiveness to me. The Bills, they haven't really addressed their wide receiver spot yet. That's their weakness, but everywhere else, really, really good. And then for the Chiefs, their O line is still kind of sketchy. They picked up their draft pick Simmons, who he could be good. He could be good. And they re-signed Trey Smith. Creed Humphrey's awesome, but their left guard. So with your offensive line, if you have studs and then an okay piece, you can get away with that. But if you have a weakness, that's a problem. And I think the Chiefs' left guard could be an issue. We'll see. I don't even know who it is, honestly. Maybe he's going to play really well and it's going to surprise everyone. But right now, that concerns me. But I still got them two. And then Eagles one. You just can't argue it. Um, to me, though, the Eagles did get a little bit worse, so to speak.
Yes. No, for sure.
But the gap between them and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl was huge, monumental. So for them to get a little bit worse, and then maybe the Chiefs got a little bit better, Eagles are still one, Chiefs are still two. You can't knock the Super Bowl champs off the first power rankings, especially when the game wasn't close. If it was neck and neck and it's like a final play, okay, maybe you can say the Chiefs are number one, but not after that game. The last game we saw, the Eagles dominated. You cannot take them off that one spot. Talking to you, ESPN.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, man. I mean,
Hmm.
the one thing I would say as far as for power rankings, if it was the Giants, right? The Giants after they beat the Patriots, and you want to drop them back down to like 10 or 8, that's totally fair. I mean, there was just
That's
something,
different. Yeah.
there was
Hmm.
magic. Or like the Eagles, when
Hmm.
the Eagles beat the Patriots, if you want to drop them back down, I have no arguments because the Nick Foles magic was so unique. What did
Hmm.
Carson Wentz have left when he was going to come back? And there's lots of questions, but that's not the case here. I mean,
Hmm.
you've still got an amazing wide receiver duo. We'll get to it later. I'll mention it, but Goddard is not leaving. Like that was a major question mark. That has been
Yeah.
solved. The Barkley question solved.
Hmm.
Hurts. I mean, at this point, I think the big thing is either you believe Hurts is a great quarterback or you believe he's a nothing burger. You just believe he's a part of the
Hmm.
team and he's just filling in the gaps. But man, I really don't know what that guy has to prove anymore. I don't get it, man. I don't understand
Two
what
Super Bowls,
more.
he's been the best quarterback against the GOAT. The first one he lost, second one dominated. But both Super Bowls, he's been the better quarterback against Patrick
Well,
Mahomes.
I mean, the dagger play where he threw it straight to Devontae Smith, and it was just
Hmm.
right in the cradle for them to score the touchdown to basically just end the entire game. I mean, that just doesn't happen. His
Hmm.
ability to throw, to run. Um, I mean, there's so much I could dig into to that, but there's no reason for Eagles fans to not be excited about this year. I mean,
Hmm.
really, like even if we just did a power ranking based off of excitement, why would I pick any team besides the Eagles at one?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's and if we did excitement, that would be where I think you could put the Commanders higher. The Commanders, man.
they're
I
fun.
mean, well, and one other
They're
factor
fun.
too that deserves some consideration, and I think this is more of like a Commanders, Broncos, Vikings aspect. But if they've really found their groove and the fans can really get behind them, imagine what's going
Hmm.
to be like playing in those stadiums.
Hmm.
Because, each of those teams have had a run of not really having much going for them. Um, yeah, I mean, I just think it could be a big difference for them with home field advantage. I mean, home field advantage is huge, huge.
It is. It
So,
is. I think that's one of the main reasons why Minnesota got bounced first round last year because they couldn't quite get over that Lions hump to get that one seed. If Minnesota got the one seed, it would have been interesting to see them play the Commanders. I don't know if they would have won, but that'd have been an interesting game. I don't think they would have got shellacked like the Lions did. The Lions just didn't come prepared. Um, been interesting. Been interesting. 'Cause the Commanders don't have that pass rush up the middle like the Rams do. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's history, as it were. We got our future. We got our quarterback that doesn't fold like a cheap tent when the lights are shining the brightest. And speaking of, I gotta get a little something off my chest, just a little bit here. So I don't know if you saw the video of Colin Cowherd, but he was going over the NFC North. Well, actually, it wasn't just that. It was JJ McCarthy in particular, where he was just dogging on him, just over and over. And I found a little inside information, but he is a big USC fan, so he's a big Sam Darnold fan. So he
mm,
is saying Minnesota is going to super regret not re-signing him. I'm sorry. Did you see the last two games? Did you see him not able to throw a pass in the end zone when they had receivers wide open against the Lions? And did you see him hold the ball too long against the Rams? Did you not see that, Colin? But anyway, he is a huge Darnold fan, and he is saying that JJ McCarthy is not going to be the guy, that he's coming from an offense where all he had to do was hand the ball to his running back, where he didn't have to throw it 30 times. And if you do some research, he actually had 9 games in 2 years where he threw it over 30 times in Michigan. But, that's just doing research. Sorry, Colin. It was so annoying how much he was bashing on JJ McCarthy just because he was unhappy that they did re-sign Sam Darnold. He has the Vikings finishing last in the division, which okay. And just no faith in JJ McCarthy, even though our coach, Kevin O'Connell, has shown time and time again that he can get a quarterback ready. Everyone was saying about that Sam Darnold last year. Sam Darnold won 14 games. Kirk Cousins was a average quarterback. He wins 13 games. It's just there's a pattern here. It's the head coach. So I'm I just had to get that off my chest because I watched that video like yesterday morning and I was like, are you kidding me? You could not believe in him. That's fine. But to dog him like that, just disrespectful. But you know what? I thank him. I hope JJ McCarthy watches it because he's such a competitor that he will use that as motivation.
well, two quick thoughts, Andrew, on the Colin Coward thing, just to bring it to everyone's memory. But I recall that Colin Coward made a prediction for what the Steelers needed to do in the draft, and he said, "quote I looked up the quote. I would trade
Uh-oh.
T.J. Watt George Pickens 2 first rounders and go get Shador Sanders if you think he's a starting quarterback. Close quote. So I don't think there's anything more we need to say about Colin Coward. Um,
Yeah, that pretty
uh,
much puts that to bed because the Steelers
but
had probably five opportunities to draft him without trading.
but I mean, he can talk to Mel Kiper and they can have a conversation about how the NFL knows nothing about quarterbacks. The
Yep.
Mel Kiper guy who thought Jimmy Clausen was a, top 2 quarterback and Josh
Hmm.
Rosen and I don't even know how many
Hmm.
other Jamarcus Russell, the guy
Yep.
that is the godfather of drafts and knows everything. Yes,
Hmm.
he clearly knew what was the right thing to do about Shador Sanders. And the NFL is 100% wrong. Just
Hmm.
yeah. The other part I was going to mention about Colin Coward, it's one of my favorite clips. But there's another clip if you go back to last year, we called the Eagles a joke organization after the Browns game because Sirianni had those fiery remarks to the fan.
Oh.
And he
Mm-hmm.
basically said something to the equivalent of that this is not a team that can win the Super Bowl. Well, Colin, listen, it's a year later and we have a trophy. So really
Hmm.
appreciate your words of encouragement. Your naivety is obvious, but he's not
Hmm.
always bad. But it's funny when you watch those critics where you clearly aren't watching the games. You're clearly
Hmm.
just getting the highlights, and you're
Yep.
not someone that's truly informed. Um,
And to their credit as well, it's really hard to know every little nuance of 32 NFL teams. If you're not like a direct reporter for an individual team, you're not going to know all those little things. Like, for example, for the Vikings with JJ McCarthy, watching so much virtual reality of practices last year, kind of like Jaden Daniels did the year before. That's how he developed so much as a passer. Those little things you don't know unless you're truly following the team. So you just see names, you just see numbers. That's all you really get to see. So I'll defend them a little bit in that aspect, but if you're going to have these very, very strong takes, do some research. Make sure there's some data to back them up, not just opinions. That's all I'm saying.
I get it, man. I understand, and yeah, no offense to Colin. He's had some good takes that I've enjoyed, but
Hmm. Hmm.
I would not consider him a fountain of knowledge.
No,
But
no.
yeah,
But
so
speaking of the draft, should we touch on that real quick before we wrap this
yes,
up?
yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I'll just start with this. I wrote down three teams I thought had a good draft and three teams I didn't really get it. So that's where I shall start. Let me get this pulled up here so I can go over these. So first on my list, a team that I thought did really well, the Arizona Cardinals. I really like what they did. Um, so the first pick, Walter Nolan. I mean, both of us wanted him. I know you got wanted him. You had him a lot in your mocks. I had him a lot in my mocks for the Vikings, but he goes 16 to the Cardinals. Awesome pick. And then they kind of get maybe a sleepy steal with Will Johnson at cornerback at their second pick in the second round. I thought that was awesome. And then they got some depth pieces at their linebacker with Cody Simmons and um, but yeah, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson. I love those picks for them. The Cardinals are going to be a sneaky team. I mean, the the NFC West is kind of open because the 49ers aren't the 49ers of old. The Seahawks got a little worse, maybe. It's hard to truly tell. They did pick some good pieces in the draft, but we don't know what the Seahawks are going to be. And the Rams are a good team, but the Cardinals, I kind of like what they're doing here. Kind of like it. Um, another team I thought had a good draft was the Carolina Panthers. They are doing some
Mm.
things here. They are doing something. So I love Ted McMillan, and they go pick up your guy Nick Scorton in the second round, edge rusher, and they go pick up the edge rusher from Ole Miss, Princely Umanamelian. He had some really good numbers at Ole Miss, and so Jonathan Brooks they announced is going to miss the season with his injury, but they picked up Trevor Etienne in the fourth round. He can just step right in and play really well at the running back position behind. Oh, who do they have? Oh man, I'm not remembering his name. He played really well last year.
Uh,
Hmm.
Chuba.
Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Chuba Hubbard. So yeah, I really like what the Panthers are doing. And then lastly here, the last team I have is the New York Giants. I got to give them credit. I really like what they did at the top of the draft, not trading, not reaching, picking possibly the best player in the draft in Abdul Carter. And then trading back into the first round to get their quarterback of the future. We both believe in Jackson Dart. There's been some skepticism of his. A lot of people don't really believe he's the guy, but we do. We believe in him. We think he's going to be good. Not this year, but in the future. But a player that I love that they got, my favorite possibly, other than Abdul Carter, is Cam Scatterbo. He is such a dynamic running back that I'm just excited to see what he can do. I don't know what kind of player he is. He's just excitement. So I love what the Giants are doing. Those are my three teams. I liked what they did. And now a few teams that I'm kind of like,
Was that three
huh.
teams, Andrew? I feel like that was more than three teams. Am I dreaming?
Cardinals, Panthers, and Giants.
I thought you had another team in there. Okay. All right.
But first team I have on here that I'm not sure, at least for this draft. So this team, they couldn't say no to Fontenot of the Falcons calling and trading a first round pick, and that's going to be the LA Rams. So for this draft, they didn't really have a lot since they traded their first round pick to the Falcons to get that haul that they got. Um, but the best player they got was Terrence Ferguson of Oregon. He's a good tight end, but is he a player that's really going to move the needle for a team? I don't know. And then the rest of their draft is just kind of some guys. They got Jarquez Hunter from Auburn as a running back, but they already have good running back depth. So I wasn't too in love with the Rams draft. But again, you can't pass up what they got from the Falcons. So I get it. Another team that I was like, I don't know if I'm on board with that. And that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Um, they didn't have a lot of picks, but and they needed some defense, but they picked up three linebackers in this draft, two offensive linemen and a running back. They didn't get any corners, they didn't get any safeties, they didn't get anybody on the D line. I don't know what their plan was. Maybe players didn't fall to them the way they wanted.
They did get Shamar Stewart for for the
They
Bengals.
did. They did. That was a potentially good pick. He's a raw player to where if you
Yes.
can develop him, he can be awesome. But man, they really needed some secondary help because they got torched last year. And they already have decent edge rusher in Hendrickson if he stays. Maybe he's not going to stay now since they picked up Shamar Stewart. If that's the case, then okay. But I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. And then lastly, one that might be little bit spicy for some people, like Mel Kiper Jr., and that's the Browns. I don't know. You draft two quarterbacks, you draft two running backs, and you trade down out of your second pick. Now, you got a haul. You got a haul. I'm not saying that was bad. You got Mason Graham, who's good, but could have had Travis Hunter, who was better. So I'm just not feeling it. And you drafted Dylan Gabriel, who there's a lot of people saying he's not even a draftable quarterback in this draft. We believe him a little bit more than that, but there's a lot of pro scouts out there that said he should have been drafted. And then you go get Shedeur Sanders later, so you have like five quarterbacks on your team now. I don't know. And then the running backs you drafted Judkins when you had a chance to draft Henderson, who was the better Ohio State running back. And then you go and you draft, I think, Dylan Sampson, running back from Tennessee, later in the draft. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know. If they could pan out, Shedeur Sanders could be awesome, but he needs to grow up. And I don't know. I just didn't see what the Browns were seeing. I didn't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I can't disagree with where you're thinking. Um, the hard part is overall, Andrew, I've actually I really liked what many teams did in this draft. You already took the Giants. I think that's kind of an
Hmm.
obvious one. So I like that. I agree with that. I think that's a very spot on perspective. I'm just trying to decide between the ones I was looking at. But the first one that I wanted to give a shout out to, um, it wasn't the Seahawks. So I wanted, oh, okay. This is weird because we just talked about them in a bad way. But I actually really liked the draft that the Cowboys had.
Hmm.
People are
Yeah,
hating
especially
on
the
the
second
Tyler,
and third round.
but I don't understand the hate for Tyler Booker. I think it's a fine pick. If you feel
Hmm.
like it's a need, go for it, take it. Um,
Hmm.
and the one thing I would fight against, because you could give the Shamar Stewart example and say, well, that was a need, but why would you draft someone that raw? I don't think Tyler Booker is raw. I think the
No,
question is,
no,
is
yeah.
you're drafting at 12, how different how much of a difference maker is this guy going to be? I think that was the biggest question for the Dallas Cowboys where they
Hmm.
picked was how much is this guy going to improve your team? Now, that's a hard question, but from
Right.
everything I've read, I think he's got potential. The Donovan Azureku pick was a
Hmm.
great pick, like
It was.
great pick. The
Hmm.
fact that he dropped all the way to 44, I think there's some really high upside for value. Um, and Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina, I think, is a great pick for cornerback, especially with all the cornerback questions they have right now.
Yeah, he was mocked in the first round in a decent amount of mocks. Ravel Jr. was, and they got him what in the third round? That's awesome.
Yeah. And I thought the Jaden Blue pick from Texas, it's another
Yeah,
great pick. I mean, just
good running back depth. Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to give him a call out because I feel like that they could get overlooked, maybe not given
Hmm.
enough praise, consideration.
Hmm.
Um, oh man, Andrew, this is so tough for me because I really liked what the Seahawks did. I liked the Gray Zabel
I
pick.
can't disagree. Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah,
good. I thought it was solid. Nick Emenwari, the safety from South Carolina, I think is a great pick.
yep, yep.
Um,
Another one that was mocked in the first round. Hmm.
the pick I think I liked the most for value is Elijah Arroyo. That was the guy I wanted in
Mm.
our mock
Yeah,
draft that
tight
we did
end.
for the
Yep.
Eagles, and I thought
Hmm.
he was a great pick. But
Hmm.
even the Jalen Milroe pick, they didn't reach for him.
Yeah,
It wasn't a
yeah. They just
desperation
let him fall to
attempt.
him.
I
Absolutely.
mean, it
Let
was
him sit
great.
there, see if they can develop him. If you can't, oh well. You spent what, like a fourth or a fifth round on him.
It
Move
was a
on.
late third, so it's
Late
not
third.
bad. Not
Yeah,
bad. And that's the territory where like if you think he's got upside, go for it.
perfect.
But
Yeah.
they got some offensive linemen late, so there's a potential. I think offensive lineman is your best bet for late developer for late draft pick developers. Um,
Hmm.
so I think there's some
And you
hope
always
there
need
for them.
backups. You always need backups on the O-line.
Yeah,
You need someone that you can trust can play a game or two. You can't just have any slappies back there. Because if that happens and your starter gets hurt, your season's over.
yeah. I mean, overall, I liked their draft, and then
Hmm.
this is tough for me because I thought the Bears did a good job. I don't think they did an amazing job, but I thought they did a good
Hmm.
job. I really liked the Raiders draft. Um, I
Yeah.
liked the fact that they went heavy on offensive line in the third round. They got Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. Charles Grant was the guy I wanted for the Eagles. That was someone I've
Hmm.
kept on my radar and thought if he can get there. Darian Porter from Iowa State, I think, is good. Jack Beck, I think,
Hmm.
has some upside, but Ashton Genty. Um,
That's it. Yep.
I just think
Possibly the best player in the draft.
there's so much potential for the Raiders to build and become an
Hmm.
even better team because of his presence.
Hmm.
So, like, I don't know if you saw it, but he put out such a great, Genty did to teams a letter of why they should draft him.
I saw that. Yeah, draft the guy that
Basically,
can't get tackled.
yeah, if you want
Yep.
someone like Saquon Barkley, that's me. I mean, that's basically what it was.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it was funny because Eagles reporter right after he wrote that said, looking forward to Genty joining the Eagles in 2029. And I laughed because there's a little bit of truth to that. We like to bargain
Hmm.
bin, and I don't know if bargain bin's the right
Hmm.
word, but we like to take talent whenever we're not able to draft it in free
Hmm.
agency. But I, I feel like that Pete Carroll is he's gonna make this team competitive. Just watch this team. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like the moves. I like Geno
Yeah.
Smith
I
coming
like their
in,
draft
and
too. Yeah, Ashton Jinty and then yeah, Jake Beck. He could be something at wide receiver. It's possible. That is their biggest hole though, is wide receiver.
absolutely,
Because Jacob
absolutely,
Myers, is he a one? I don't think so. He's a good two, but I don't think he's a one. Brock Bowers is amazing, but you need that alpha outside receiver. You just need it
absolutely.
in this league. And
Unless you're the
without
Kansas City
it,
Chiefs,
well, you need Andy Reid who can scheme up anything you want. And speaking of the Chiefs, I do gotta give them a little shout out because they did pretty good draft as well.
they
I
did.
mean, Josh Simmons, that was their biggest weakness on the O line was their left tackle. They went and solved that. And I've heard a lot of good things about their fourth round pick in Jalen Royals. That wide receiver from Utah State, I'm hearing a lot of good things. I don't know a lot about him, but they are thrilled that they picked him up. So that's an interesting one. I've wanted Omar Norman Lott for the Vikings, so that he's going to look really good right next to um, Chris Jones, and a sneaky one to keep your eye on. And this is a possible little fantasy nugget, but Brashard Smith, the running back from SMU, he
Hmm.
is a just speedster, crazy quick, fast running back. He might not pan out in the NFL, but he might. And I know that they had some injuries in the running back room last year. Pacheco wasn't quite the same when he came back. He might be back to being Pacheco of 2 years ago. It's possible, but I don't know. I got my eye on Brashard Smith. I'm gonna keep an eye on training camp to see if he maybe wins the two job or something behind Pacheco and beats out Kareem Hunt. I don't know. I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can't disagree with that. I'm also interested to see how the Patriots draft goes. A lot of people left that
I liked it. I liked it.
loving it, and I think there's aspects I like. I like the Jared Wilson pick from
Yep.
Georgia, Will Campbell. I'm not super high on Henderson from Ohio State. I don't
You're
know.
not?
I think he's got potential. I just don't know if he's. I just think that in my mind, I feel like there's good top value in the draft for running back, and then later in
Mm-hmm.
the draft, I would not have taken a running back in the second round. I just felt like
Mm.
the players available, I think you could have gotten better value and still gotten a good running back later, if
That's
that makes
fair.
sense.
That's
And so
fair.
that one's kind of like we'll see. It's tough to say at this point. Um, the
It
part I
definitely
liked
hurt
about
Ramondre Stevenson's fantasy value.
oh yeah, yes, absolutely. Um, they definitely had a lot of picks this year, which is awesome for them.
Mm-hmm.
Having two
Mm-hmm.
fours, two threes, and then still having your first and second. So we'll see. I don't even know if there's anyone else I'd add on to what you talked about with like what are they doing picks. I think you covered
Mm-hmm.
those really well. Um, I mean, for me, we've already talked about it, but I can't let it go, man. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? And not to mention, like by getting Hunter, they had to release Gabe Davis, and that didn't make
Yeah.
sense to me. I feel like Gabe Davis was an incomplete equation. Like, here's the part I don't understand: Gabe Davis 2 years ago was a legitimate deep receiver threat. He was. He
Mm-hmm.
was great for the Bills. It wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen. Gabe Davis did a great job scheming his way open.
Is he
And
going back to Buffalo?
oh, you know what? That's such an interesting idea. I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Could go to the Steelers. That's another home. I mean, that make.
Yep.
I just I don't like the idea of giving up on a player when it's only been one season. He didn't have a
Right.
horrific season. He just didn't have a good season. Like he just,
Mm-hmm.
it felt like he'd have a good game, he'd get injured, and it's like I feel like it's an incomplete value. I don't think that that's one where you can look at and
Mm-hmm.
go, he's just a bust. He's a flat out bust. Um, so I'm really confused by it. I know that they really think that Hunter's the home run hitter. Just not buying it, man. And that alone
Yeah.
makes me a downer on him. You
Mm-hmm.
gave up a first round pick and a second round pick. I,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, you won't need those players, but I bet you will. And I bet you're not going to do as good as you think you will next year. So when you give up that first round
Hmm.
pick and it's a top 10, you're going to cry hard.
And we could say the same thing about
So,
the Falcons with their really dumb trade they made. I touched on it with the Rams, but I mean, they already drafted Jalen Walker. They didn't have to trade back up and get James Pierce Jr., but they did get good players. It's just the value was insane. Um, in saying that, though, I did like the two safeties they drafted. They got good value with Xavier Watson and Billy Bowman Jr. because they needed some safeties because they were old back
yeah,
there. And
yeah,
so I did like those two picks, but the amount they traded up to get James Pierce Jr. was just insane. He has to be, which is unfortunate for him, but he has to be like Defensive Rookie of the Year nominee in order for that trade to actually live up to its value. If he's not getting like six-ish or higher sacks this coming up year, then they gave it way too much for him.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I guess a couple of teams I thought about maybe struggled as well. I didn't love the Rams class, but that trade was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, you
Um,
can't pass. I mean, they didn't want to trade out, but they got offered that. They're like, oh, all right, let's do it.
I mean, it's great. And I know the Falcons love to
Hmm.
mention, well, we got a third round pick back. I mean, that third round pick, it's just nowhere close to the value that you need.
Hmm.
I, yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I cannot believe that they traded back or that they traded that. Saints class, I think, is another like, where are we going? Uh,
Yeah,
Is it Tyler Schaff? Is that how you say his name?
I think it's Tyler Shook. I've heard Shook.
Shook. That's right. It's Shook. That's right. It's awesome that he has that name and it's spelled Oughh at the end. So not confusing at all. Definitely not
Right,
confusing.
right.
Um, but I mean that one, like, I just look at that pick and I just think, are you really certain that you needed that quarterback at that spot in the second round, and he's going to be that much better
Yep.
than Jalen Milrow, which was taken in the third round at the back end? I mean, the value in that spot is just so
Hmm.
bad, so bad.
Yep.
Um,
And you kind of needed a quarterback with the Derek Carr news going on. And Spencer Rattler proved that he wasn't it last year. I mean, I know Kellen Moore is new at a head coaching spot, but I don't know. Are they trying to tank, trying to do the T word to try to maneuver higher in the draft? Because next year's draft is going to be quarterback heavy again. It's going to have some quarterbacks in next year's draft. And the Saints' first pick, they solidified their O line, getting Kelvin Banks Jr. That was a great pick, um, because what Armstead, I believe his name was, retired, so they had to get a tackle. Great pick. That could be your pin at tackle for the next 10 plus years. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Are they trying to just say, hey, can we get an Archie Manning next year? Can we get anyone else that's going to be going into the class next year? I don't know. We'll see. They're not in a good division, so they're probably going to, by default, win like 7 games.
yeah, I don't know, man. That one's so tough to say.
Hmm. But
But
there
that
is
will,
what running back did they draft? They drafted a running back that I really liked. Was it Devin Neal, I
Devin
think it
Neal,
was?
yeah, from Kansas.
So watch out for that kid. That kid is talented. I know Kamar's awesome, but he's getting a little up there in age. He's been dinged up a little bit. If Kamar has to miss a game, Devin Neal is going to play really well. Just another name to file in the back of your mind. I think he's going to get the two job. I think that's basically a given because he is really good.
Crazy he was available in the sixth round.
That's how deep this running back class was.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But that just goes back to my other comment about, drafting running back in the second round.
Yeah, Henderson. Yeah. Hmm.
It just feels strange. I feel like there was so much value
Hmm.
late that it just didn't make. I mean, for example, like the Eagles, I was getting really upset that we weren't taking a defensive tackle. But then when we got the vanilla gorilla, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was
That
really hoping that he would slide a little bit longer to Minnesota's pick, but yeah, that was a great pick. Great
I
pick.
mean, I like it. I think that was smart on the Eagles' part to take Ty Robinson where they did. I give them props.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yep.
But by the way, I should get some praise, and you should get some praise, Andrew. We showed no bias by putting our team's drafts in the top three favorites. We chose other teams. We
Yeah,
gave love
I
elsewhere.
made sure I did that. And I mean, for my sake, there is no way in the world I can put the Vikings in the top three, even if I tried, with getting five picks total going into the draft with four. That yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I love the Donovan Jackson pick. I love it, but we would have had to draft Travis Hunter at 24 in order for the Vikings to be in the top three. So it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah. One part that's been funny for me about the Eagles draft is people keep talking about how the league was so dumb to let Jahad Campbell fall to the Eagles. And I'm
Yeah,
happy they got him, but I just think that people get lost in the fact that there are injury concerns here. This isn't a guy that you're getting
yeah,
free
yeah.
of issues. So
Hmm.
let's hold the brakes a little bit. Let's not give Howie the GM of the year trophy again, just based off of one draft pick. We really don't know what the upside is. I like him. I think he's got potential, but
Hmm.
it's just been so funny to hear all these comments about how
Hmm.
he did it again. It's like, well, people just saw the health risks and they just didn't feel like it made sense. And I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. It's a difficult battle to weigh out, but if you're Philly to get that type of value and player at the end of the first round
Hmm.
makes a
Especially
ton of
since you don't
sense.
really have a lot of holes, so to speak. So when you don't have holes, that's what you can do. You can do BPA. You can take a little bit more risks than if you have a team that has a glaring need and the best player is staring you in the face, like, no, I need a corner. Sorry, can't draft you. So it really pays off to be in that position.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, I think that was my thoughts on the draft, Andrew. I don't know if there's anything else from the draft you wanted to add.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Um, I like that we did our power rankings and we were pretty close. What team did we have different? I had the Packers in. I don't think you had the Packers in.
Didn't. I honestly did not love the Matthew Golden signing or draft pick.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't move the needle for me. I mean, sure, it's a first round pick,
Hmm.
but is it Javon Walker? Was that the name of the receiver they last took in the first round?
I think it was like 2002, but yeah, yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
I think it was
it
Walker, but
just
I don't know if it was Javon. But Walker is right.
I can't remember his first name. But that just felt like such a weird signing. I don't know,
Hmm.
or draft pick. I just was not feeling it. So we'll see. I
Yeah.
could be wrong. It was Javon Walker.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got it right. Okay.
Um,
Um, yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I just
I
I
had a few teams just miss out. I had the Bucks, Chargers, and Bengals in that order, like 11, 12, 13. So we weren't that far off. But
yeah
I had to give the Packers a little respect because they know how to win, but I just don't trust Jordan Love. I don't do it. I don't see it. I'm sorry. People say he's super talented. He could win. He's got talent, sure, but he has bad mechanics and he too much of the yellow ball. I just can't do it.
yeah. I think I'd probably put the Cowboys on the cusp in that group.
Maybe,
I think
maybe,
I'd probably
yeah,
bump the Bengals down, put the Cowboys up.
that's fair.
Um, and I think I'd put the Packers would be there too. In my just missed out. Um,
Hmm.
it's probably for me it'd be Packers, Chargers, then there's the Texans too. And I really like
Yeah,
what the Texans have done for the most part. I think the Tank Dell question is a huge question, which that makes it hard to thinking about. Um,
yeah. He's
yeah, man.
probably going to miss most this year, fortunately.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how close we are. There's always a surprise. There's always someone that you're
Hmm.
not thinking is going to be in
And they
there.
drafted like three wide receivers in this draft who had the potential to get some serious playing time.
I mean, overall, I think that they've done a good job.
Hmm.
As a team, I feel like that there's signs for growth. The big question I have for them is just the line. where are they out the offensive line?
O-line, I
Because
know that is the big question mark.
I just don't see it. I don't
Yeah.
see. I feel like they got good value in the spots they got. I can't disagree with it. I just think
But are those
it's
legitimate starters?
yeah,
That's the question. They
yeah.
really got they really were like in trouble. The reason why they traded out of the first round whenever Minnesota right before them took the last starting caliber guard. If Minnesota didn't take him and they traded out, Houston would have taken Donovan Jackson and their O-line would have looked a lot better right now. But Jackson was gone and there wasn't any true first round guards left, so they backed out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the off season plays out.
Hmm.
It's almost time to start thinking about training camp, mini camp
Yep.
first, and
Yep.
it's
Rookie
coming,
camps
man.
going on right now.
It's coming.
Yep. We're
I
gonna do
cannot.
our divisional ranks, see in each division how we think's gonna pan out. We got that coming forward. Hopefully we're gonna have some guests on the show. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I have a friend who's a huge Bears fan, so I'm sure he's drinking that Bears Kool-Aid right now.
Oh, don't pick on the Bears too much, man. They honestly have had a pretty good off season. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I think I kind of floated this idea out there, but I might not put them last in the NFC North. I don't know. I don't know. There's a certain green and yellow team that I'm thinking, maybe?
you just don't like cheeseheads, Andrew.
I just don't like Jordan Love. I just don't trust him. And they did
But
not get
like
him a number one receiver.
he's worse than Caleb Williams. I mean, that's the part I can't wrap my mind around. It's worse than Caleb Williams.
It's close. Honestly, it's close for me because Caleb
Uh,
Williams is very talented. He just had a bad coaching staff. But that goes to a
he
different
did.
point. I don't know if Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are a good fit together because Ben Johnson, what's his quarterback in Detroit with Jared Goff? Timing quarterback who throws the ball over the middle accurately and is in the system, doesn't really go off script.
Mhm.
What does Caleb Williams do? Off script, doesn't throw with timing. He makes something happen. He's good at it, really good at it, but totally different quarterback. I don't know. Ben Johnson's going to have to change his system, and he might be good at it, but he was good with that system, and Caleb Williams does not fit that system. So that's the one question mark I have on that. And he's drafting these players that trying to replicate what he had with the Lions. So he drafted the tight end. What was his name? Number 10 overall, Colston Loveland. And
Mhm.
everyone's saying, "Oh, he's just like Sam Laporta." I'm like, okay, you can't say that. He's a rookie. You don't know for sure. But he already has Cole Kmet on that team. Now he has two tight ends, two good tight ends. So he's gonna run two tight end sets. Lions didn't do that a whole lot, especially not two pass catching tight ends. And then he drafted Luther Burden III. Everyone's saying, "Oh, that's his Amon-Ra St. Brown." No, he's got two receivers above that guy. So Luther Burden III is not going to be on the field that much because he's the third receiver, the slot guy. When they're jumbo package, he won't be out there. Amon-Ra St. Brown is always on the field. They have Roma Dunze and they have DJ Moore. They're going to be on the field out there. So I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. Does he have some master plan? Maybe. Is he trying to build what they have with the Lions? Maybe. And he's not going to have success if that's what he's doing because that's a different team, different O-line. The running backs aren't even near as talented as the Lions have. So no one's going to respect the run. They're going to all defend the pass. Anyway, I keep going on and on and on about my concerns about the Bears.
We all know that you'd like to see him fail, Andrew.
Well, they've been failing for a lot lately, so it's been a pleasant surprise. Not necessarily a pleasant surprise, but pleasant to see. It'd be nice to have the Packers get humbled, which might happen. I don't know. I don't think they got any better. And last
I
year they
get it.
showed that they could beat the
It's
good
fair.
teams. They beat bad teams, but when they played good teams, they lost every single time.
I would qualify that. They couldn't beat the great teams.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, just to be fair, I mean, right? They faced the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. That's not lucky. They were in the same division as the Lions and the Vikings. That's not lucky.
And they
I'm not
lost to the
saying
Bears last game of the year.
that's true. That is true. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. There's so much time
Yeah.
left, and there's so
Oh
much more to
yeah.
dig into. So
Hmm. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Well, anything else you wanted to bring up before we wrap this up?
no, I'll save my comments for the Jordan Davis and Dallas Goedert discussion for next time. But I look
Okay.
forward to talking about those pieces. And this is a good review. It was nice to break out the power rankings discussion and uh,
Absolutely.
do my favorite activity, which is beat up on the Dallas Cowboys, and then talking about our power rankings and drafts or draft analysis. So all good stuff.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew Lance. This was a long episode, but we had a lot to talk about. Be sure to subscribe, comment, like, share, all those fun stuff. Let's try to get this channel growing, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys. Hey, and one final comment. Actually, I'm just thinking about Andrew. Thank you
Yes.
guys for continuing to be with us. We have passed the critical 20 episode mark. This is episode 22 for us.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
well
We've
done to
made
us,
it.
Andrew. We
We
will take our
grinded.
dozens of imaginary followers and continue to grow into a massive presence in the NFL. It'll happen eventually. Who knows? But thank you
Eventually.
everyone for
Just
following.
gotta keep
So
grinding.
yeah, exactly. Hey, Gridiron Grind. That's what it's all about.
There you go.
Well, hey, thanks everyone. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, bye.